In today's Spotlight, a trial is underway for a man accused of killing his wife and another man after having an affair with his au pair. Prosecutors allege that Brendan Banfield and his family's Brazilian au pair lured a man named Joseph Ryan to Banfield's home in Virginia in an attempt to stage a home invasion after creating a fake profile of Christine Banfield on a fetish website. Prosecutors say that Ryan was shot and killed and that Christine suffered stab wounds and died at a nearby hospital. Banfield and his lover were initially arrested and charged with murder, but in 2024, after cooperating with investigators, the au pair pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of manslaughter. Banfield has pleaded not guilty to charges of aggravated murder for the death and faces life in prison if convicted. Let's bring in ABC News legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer to make sense of all of this. Brian, this is a complicated case. How did opening statements go today? Prosecution and defense seem to deliver kind of dueling narratives of what happened here.
It was a very complicated case, but you did a perfect job of putting it all together. For the prosecution, they painted a very clear-cut picture of there was planning, there's preparation, there was intent, there was a murder. That Brendan Banfield was the mastermind behind this scheme of creating this fetish catfish profile to bring in Joseph Ryan, orchestrate what looked like a rape gone bad, and he would be the hero saving his wife, but not before she was brutally murdered. But the defense has their own theory here that involves a witness who's going to testify, that being Juliana, the au pair, for her life, that she was given a manslaughter deal where law enforcement tried to, quote unquote, like bribe her with better deals to turn on Brendan Banfield and make up lies, according to the defense. And also that there was some tension between the law enforcement office, that some detectives even left because they don't believe the theory the prosecution is presenting. So very different narratives from both sides.
Really kind of crazy to see those two stories playing out. The au pair did take the stand today against Banfield. What did we learn from that testimony, and how impactful is that, Brian?
So Elizabeth, extremely impactful, because as the prosecution laid out in their opening statement, and we learned a little bit more in her testimony, this was all about preparation and why Brendan Banfield felt that he couldn't simply just divorce his wife, Christine, that he was the mastermind. She was explaining the preparations and how the affair started, and months afterwards, Brendan brought up what she initially thought to be a joke of taking care of his wife, and how the plan came together and ultimately was executed by bringing in this kind of fetish catfish idea and luring in Joseph Ryan, this unsuspecting victim of it all. That's the testimony that we began to learn from Juliana Perez Marlagas in this testimony.
Wow. Meantime, Banfield's daughter was at the courthouse at the house on the morning of the killings. He's also charged, Brian, with child abuse and felony child cruelty in connection with this case.
Yeah, so the allegations on top of this brutal murder that was orchestrated to not only kill, allegedly, Christine Banfield, his wife, but also Joseph Ryan, is that the daughter was at the home at the time, and that's where you get the additional charge. Now, in the grand scheme of things, neglect and abuse of a child, you're looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. And when you're looking at life for the aggravated murder charges, it doesn't seem that big of a deal. But hearing the facts that this alleged murder was put together not just to get rid of the wife, but in the presence of the child, scarring the child as they allegedly did, that's going to add more of an issue for the jury to kind of dive into and turn around, look at the defense table and say, how could you possibly do this if they believe the facts to be true?